This is not full coverage. I mean, that claim is completely laughable, especially when I look at other powder foundations that I own, and I feel like I'm pretty well versed in powder foundations. Today I'm going to be sharing with you the best and the worst of the powder foundations that I have used during my makeup life and that I've tried here recently. I have 15 here total to talk to you about. I'm going to rank them from worst to best, and I do have 4 that kind of tie for the best, and there's a reason for that. I think for a lot of us, powder foundations are really tricky because we want something that applies quickly but that doesn't look like powder, and it needs to wear well throughout the day and not settle in fine lines if you are over 40 like I am, and not crease and not look cakey. And it's kind of a tall order, especially if you are like me and you have combination skin with an oily T-zone. Over the past few weeks in preparing for this video, I swear I thought my skin was just perfectly balanced, and powder foundation comes along and proves me completely wrong. Throughout this video, when I'm talking about these powder foundations, I will be sharing with you the skin types that I feel like these will work best for, because I realize not all of you have my skin type, so I always try to do that for you guys. 2 of these are mineral foundations, which is a little bit different from regular pressed powder foundations. So I'm going to kind of separate those out and sprinkle those in here somewhere as well and tell you which one of those I like better. The first powder foundation I'm going to talk about at the bottom of this category. There are 4 in this category, by the way. I don't have any more because I gave it away. It just did not work for my skin type. It made me oily very, very quickly, and I could not get a good shade match to save my life. I know a lot of you love it though, and I know why you like it. So this is the Laura Geller Baked Balance and Brighten powder foundation. I definitely think this is better for normal or dry skin types, although I have heard of people with oily combination skin really having great luck with this. I was not one of those people. So I said at the beginning of the video that I have oily combination skin and that I was in my 40s. I am 44 and I live in New Orleans. It is super hot and it's super humid. I firmly believe, well, I know that climate also makes a difference in how things wear on your skin, along with what you use, your skin type, and all that stuff. I will say that with any powder foundation I wear, I have to wear a primer with it, and I do have to use setting spray to increase the longevity of pretty much any powder foundation. I don't know if it's because of where I live or what, but they just always want to melt off my skin and get shiny too quickly. I do have a video where I go over my application of powder foundation and I discuss details like concealing and all that from a couple of years ago. I'll link it at the end of the video. I do plan on updating that as well and doing an updated application video here soon. So even with doing all of that, this just did not work for me. It made me very shiny very quickly, and I couldn't get a good color match. I felt like I looked pink all the time when I wore this, and it does have those swirls of pigment in it, which I thought would maybe be kind of self-adjusting or work, you know, up and down a few shades of skin tones, but I just looked pink. It wasn't yellow enough for me. I just had to put this at the bottom. The next foundation on my list is the Too Faced Born This Way Undetectable Medium to Full Coverage Powder Foundation. So it actually gives you the coverage claims in the name. There are 25 shades of this foundation, but every time I went to either Ulta or Sephora to get it, I just could not settle on a shade. Nothing came close to me, and I don't feel like I'm in some kind of elusive shade bracket where I should be hard to match. What I will say is that this foundation is medium to full coverage. I will give it that. And it did apply pretty smoothly. I was hoping this was going to be a replacement for that Too Faced Cocoa powder foundation that was my holy grail before, and it's not. I just felt like this had kind of an orangey undertone, and no other shade surrounding it really matches me. As the day goes on, I feel like it starts to look a little bit more makeup-y. As the day goes on even further, it just gets kind of almost patchy looking and even more makeup-y looking on my skin. This has coconut water in it, and I did feel like I got a few bumps down here when I wore this. This just wasn't what I was hoping for at all. This one is one that you guys asked me and asked me and asked me to try, and it took me forever because it wasn't available in the United States for a while. I was super excited to try it because I love the liquid version of this, and I thought the powder foundation is going to be amazing. Well, this is probably the biggest disappointment to me of all of these foundations because I had such high expectations. The reason why this is such a disappointment, like such a disappointment, is because of the claims and what it was supposed to do. First of all, it's in the double wear family, so you just expect things to be great. So this is supposed to be full coverage, or for touch-ups, it's supposed to last all day or night. Silky soft, weightless, flawless, controls oil and shine, and stays color true. Based on that, I'm thinking this is it. This is going to be my holy grail powder foundation. So it does apply matte and it looks really, really pretty. It covers okay. This is not full coverage. I mean, that claim is completely laughable, especially when I look at other powder foundations that I own, and I feel like I'm pretty well versed in powder foundations. This gives light to light medium, maybe medium coverage at best, and it takes a long time to build it to get there. I get shiny around my nose with this very, very quickly. I don't find that this is that great on my pores, and it fades pretty quickly throughout the day. I'm just not impressed with this at all. No, this is not what I expected from the double wear family. I just really wish Estee Lauder would stop naming things double wear and thinking that people are going to think it's actually double wear worthy, because this is just not. Okay, next on my list, we're getting a little bit better, is the Tarte Shape Tape Pressed Powder is what it says on their website, but on the back of the product it says powder foundation. It's very confusing, and there's some arguments within the reviews section. It's kind of funny, but it does give coverage like a powder foundation. This is a powder foundation. So this claims to give light to medium coverage, and I think that's why some people are saying it's not a powder foundation, but some powder foundations are intended to give light to medium coverage, and that is what this is for. So it does that. It doesn't give full coverage. This is not to be compared with the Too Faced that I talked about before because it gives completely different coverage. I don't feel like this is the best with pores, and it can look a little bit dry even on my skin. Oh, and by the way, the Too Faced a while ago I feel like is definitely best for oily combination skin as opposed to dry or normal skin. I would say that about this as well. It's very lightweight on the skin. It is smooth. It is smoother than the Too Faced product. It's a little bit tough to build to even get from light to medium coverage. It just takes a little bit of effort, and I find I do have to touch up with it. It doesn't last that long on the skin, so this was just very meh to me. This is the Benefit Hello Happy Velvet Powder Foundation. This is supposed to be buildable, velvety smooth, lightweight, breathable, mattify all day, yet feel creamy soft with shea butter. I like the packaging of it. I like that it magnetizes back to itself and that it's got a little brush and a sponge, so if you want something really travel worthy, this is good. But you know, this category is the middle category because these just kind of fell somewhere in between for me, kind of, you know, in no man's land. I don't reach for them a ton. I feel like the reviews on this are not really good. Now, apparently Benefit had another powder foundation that a lot of people are comparing this to, and it's not as good as that one. Kind of like what I'm doing with Too Faced, I guess. So this, I feel like, is not that great on my pores. It's not terrible, but it doesn't stand out the way some of my favorites do. I feel like it is a velvety finish. It lasts all day. It's smooth. It builds well from light to medium. I would say a step above medium coverage. It's a good, solid powder foundation. It's good, but not one of my favorites. Okay, next we have one that was in my original top foundations video, and it has been demoted to the middle of the pack. And for those of you who are wondering, Luke is here. He's just back there, sacked out. Now, I do think that both the Benefit and the Laura Mercier Smooth Finish Powder Foundation are good for pretty much any skin type. The Laura Mercier is probably better across the board. Maybe the Benefit wouldn't be great for dry skin. I've gone through countless compacts of this Laura Mercier powder, but I haven't rebought this in a long time. It's kind of been replaced. This is supposed to be undetectable, look great on the skin. You can use it wet or dry. It's sheer to full coverage. It says matte or radiant finish, and that's what I don't get about the description of this, but it is is supposed to be natural looking and long wearing and very comfortable. It doesn't settle. And that's what I love about Laura Mercier's face products in general, is that they do usually just, you know, work well for those of us who have a little bit of, you know, maturity going on. We're not 20 anymore, you know. This is buildable from sheer to medium full coverage. It looks great on my pores. It just gives me such a natural, beautiful finish. And it looks just really beautiful on my skin for a couple of hours. And then I start having to touch up all day. I don't know what's happened with me or with this, or if we just started not getting along as well with the touch-ups. It lasts all day, so touching up doesn't affect the way it looks and lasts. I just have to touch up a lot with it. And so that's why it's in the middle compared to some of the ones that are in the top. I feel like the description of the BareMinerals BarePro Performance Wear Powder Foundation, God, that's a mouthful. I feel like the description of this is hilarious. And I don't know why I find it so funny, but it's supposed to give you glam coverage. What is glam coverage? Is that another way of saying full coverage? Anyway, it's supposed to be breathable, wear for 12 hours. And it has vitamins and minerals, very, you know, common to the BareMinerals line. Okay, it actually does say what glam coverage is. Photo ready matte finish without a caked on feel, ultra smooth, silky texture. I do feel like the coverage is pretty customizable on this, but it does take a while to build. I don't think it gives full coverage. So I would say that this gives sheer to medium coverage. I love the natural finish. I feel like it looks smooth, it looks great on my pores, and it really feels good on my skin. It feels like nothing on my skin. But I don't feel like this lasts all day if I have a long day the way some other powder foundations that I have do. So I think this is a beautiful, great powder foundation for any skin type. I just don't think the longevity factor is there for me personally. Again, it could be my oily T-zone in combination with my climate. May be different for you, and you may really, really like this, because other than that, and of course, you know, the time it takes to build, it looks really pretty on the skin. Okay, so before I get into my top category, which has 6 powder foundations in it, let's address these 2 mineral foundations. So mineral foundations aren't necessarily time-saving, but they give you a really natural finish and can just be really good for the skin and breathable and things like that. I have here the BareMinerals Matte, as well as the Tarte Amazonian Clay. What is this called? Full Coverage Airbrush Foundation. And I did talk about these in my original top powder foundations video. I love mineral foundations, and I do categorize these differently than regular powder foundations because these really just meld with your skin. You need such a minimal amount to really look like skin. You don't even realize how well they're covering as you're applying them, and you have to really buff them into the skin. So the application method is different. I do have an application video for how I apply mineral foundation. I can link that too. So I'm going to cut straight to the chase. I don't have the original BareMinerals foundation in here because for my oily combination skin, it just made me a little bit too shiny too quickly. So the matte version works a little bit better for me, although it's not completely matte on me. This feels really good on the skin. And if you have an allergy to bismuth oxychloride, which is in the original BareMinerals foundation, it's not in this version. So you could probably successfully use this and be fine. This gives a natural radiant matte finish, and it kind of gives a medium full coverage. You can go sheer if you want to go sheer, or you can build it up. I would say medium full coverage, and it is kind of long lasting. And I say that by, you know, if I have a 12-hour day, this is not the one I'm going to reach for, but it would last me through a work day. It's somewhat oil controlling. I feel like I do have to touch up with this throughout the day, you know, maybe every 3 hours or so. The Tarte is the one that has my heart. Yes, that did rhyme. So this gives more medium to full coverage, and it gives a natural, kind of also radiant matte finish. It's a really pretty finish. I can also use this to spot conceal, and it conceals really well. This lasts a full 12-hour day. It controls oil, and it is so weightless. I feel like I'm not wearing makeup when I wear this. This is so beautiful, and I feel like it's really underrated. So out of the 2 of these, this is my preference. You need so little of these that these last you forever. The best category was super hard for me because I really do like all 6 of these. So just know that up front, that I don't think you could go wrong with any of these, of course, depending on your skin type and all that. Some of you saw my review where I just reviewed all of the IT Cosmetics foundations just to compare them because, I don't know, I think they can be a little overwhelming to choose between the different IT Cosmetics Cosmetics foundations. This was in there. This is the IT Cosmetics Your Skin But Better CC Plus Airbrush Perfecting Powder. This says right on here, it's a sheer to full coverage finishing veil, and it has SPF 50 plus UVA, UVB broad spectrum sunscreen. That, you know, is a positive. I don't think you should rely on this for your total sunscreen protection throughout the day. You should have sunscreen on underneath it, but it's a great extra barrier, right? This is supposed to have optical blurring pigments in it that blur your pores, dark spots, and other imperfections. I mean, that's pretty much what we want from powder foundation. I think this claims to give light to medium coverage, but I personally find that this gives sheer to almost full buildable coverage, and it builds very, very easily depending on how you apply it. This does last all day, and it looks airbrushed. It looks really pretty on the skin, and it gives a natural matte finish. It's not, you know, a flat matte or anything like that. I feel like this would be great for any, I'm holding this upside down. I feel like this would be great for any skin type. The one thing that kept it from being at the top of this category, or in the top 4, is because I can kind of feel it on my skin as the day goes on. It doesn't feel horrible or cakey or greasy. I can just kind of feel something like I'm wearing makeup. That's it. I feel like this is nice, and it looks beautiful on the skin. So this is in the top for me. Also in the top 6 is the Wander Beauty Wanderlust Powder Foundation. I really think this is so pretty on the skin. Now, it is actually supposed to be silky smooth, lightweight, and give you sheer to buildable full coverage. That doesn't make sense. Sheer to full buildable coverage, and a natural matte finish, and it is talc free. This is the one powder foundation that I have here that is talc free. Powder foundation just has talc in it, unless it's the mineral powder foundations. So that is a plus, and I would say that everything in that description is true. It does give a soft, natural matte finish. It's smoothing on the pores. It lasts a long time on the skin, and I don't get overly shiny with it during the day. It's very finely milled and smooth. So finely milled and smooth that it started to crack in the pan. Not crack to where it's crumbled, cracked, and dry, just kind of pressed down when I dipped my sponge in it one day. When I was looking and researching, I realized I'm not the only person that this has happened to. I've seen this in the reviews section. I feel like I can't travel with it. I don't know, that kind of bothered me. And I also don't really like the way they have the sponge in the top, and every single time I use it, I have to lift up this little plastic thing. It just seems kind of cheap to me, and it's kind of cumbersome. So for that reason, that also did not end up in my top 4. So now we're in the top 4. We have made it. We've made it to the top. I kind of think if I had to put one at the bottom of the top 4 and then have a top 3, this would be the one. And I hate to do this because this is the drugstore option. This is the Milani Conceal and Perfect Shine Control Powder, or Shine Proof Powder. Shine Proof Powder. This is supposed to have a lily extract to help tighten the pores and keep the skin fresh, and bamboo powder to absorb oil and keep you shine free for hours. And it has medium to buildable. What is this medium to buildable coverage? You can't have 2 buildable coverage. I guess it's supposed to say medium to full buildable coverage. I definitely do not think that this has full coverage. This is actually what I have on my face today. I would say this has sheer to medium coverage at best. It does build pretty well, and it lasts all day, and it does have a matte finish. I don't think that if you have normal or dry skin that you would really like the finish of this, because it takes a while for it to settle into the skin. Now you can see on my skin today, I do have a little bit of shine coming through. I hope you can see that on the monitor. I didn't use a setting spray today, and that's just, you know, what happens. I feel like my natural oils do come through, so even though it's shine proof, it's not completely shine proof, although it still just looks good on the skin. This is something that I don't use a ton solely by itself. I'll use this over like a tinted moisturizer or a light coverage foundation or BB or CC cream. I feel like this is something that functions in that manner for me. I really do enjoy it, and I think it's a great drugstore option. There's not a ton of shades, but I feel like they're neutral enough, or at least the ones I've seen. So if I'm wrong, sorry, that they work pretty decently. I do like that this doesn't come with anything extra. There's no sponge, there's no brush or anything. It's just the powder. I can apply it with what I want to apply it with, and I'm done. All right, now we are in the top 3, and out of these, I'm really not sure which one I would put first. I feel like I like like all three of them. I like them in different ways. I just don't know. I guess I would say about this one, I don't love the packaging, but that's kind of silly. So this is the Makeup Forever Matte Velvet Skin Powder Foundation, and it's in their signature 10 packaging. You have your powder foundation over here and a dual-sided sponge on this side and a mirror. So it's not my favorite packaging. It's a little bit big compared to all the others. This is supposed to be a full coverage blurring powder with a lifelike matte finish, and it is supposed to be breathable and wear all day, like 12 hours. I don't think this is totally full coverage. I think it is buildable to medium full coverage, and it gives me a nice soft matte finish. I do feel like it blurs my pores. It looks great on the skin. I don't have to touch up a lot with it, and it wears all day. This is one that I reach for a lot when I'm wearing powder foundation. I like it. I think it's beautiful. It gives me kind of everything I need, and I don't think that it would look bad if you had, you know, normal or dry skin. I'm not sure. If you've tried this and you have dry skin, let me know. Okay, next on my list is the most expensive one of this bunch, and it's the most expensive per ounce as well. If you look on Sephora and you sort the powder foundations by rating, this one is rated the highest out of all of the powder foundations, so I'm not the only one that likes this powder foundation. This is the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk Compact Powder Foundation. This is supposed to give you a semi-matte natural finish, and it is supposed to be able to be used alone, or you're supposed to be able to touch up with it during the day because it is buildable and customizable. This is beautiful. It is so smooth. This is so smooth, it almost feels creamy when you're applying it. It does give sheer light to medium coverage depending on how you build it, how you apply it. It does blur the pores. I like to wear it alone, and I really do like to wear it over luminous silk. I think it looks really pretty over that foundation. I don't feel like it's super mattifying, but it has a just beautiful finish to it, like a velvety type of finish that would be great for any skin type. This is not going to be a full coverage powder foundation, but it will be a beautiful one that will make your skin look just super pretty. I don't think it's great on camera though. When I looked at the footage that I'm including, I didn't think it looked really good, but in person it looks beautiful. It lasts all day, and I do have to touch up with it a little bit, but I don't mind because it does wear well, it doesn't fade, and I love it. I absolutely love it. Okay, and my final one in my top 3, top 4, I'm not sure how I ended up with this, is an oldie but a goodie, and it is one that I strayed from for years and years because I went through a phase of my life when I was in my early 20s where this broke me out pretty badly, and so I just thought I couldn't wear it anymore. Well, I decided to try it again several months ago, and I've been reaching for it a lot ever since because it really is good, and I thought I remembered it being heavier than what it actually is. This is MAC Studio Fix. I mean, I don't know if that's anticlimactic to you guys or a surprise or what, but I actually was surprised and maybe just forgot at how smooth and beautiful this looks on the skin. I can customize the finish and get a sheerer application with a brush. I can build it up with a sponge and get medium to full coverage. It doesn't look cakey, it doesn't look powdery or heavy. It looks great with my pores. It really smooths and covers well. I only have to blot like 1 or 2 times the entire day, and I never look greasy. It feels really lightweight on the skin, and this is probably the longest wearing out of all of these. It's pretty darn bulletproof for a powder foundation. Now, there is an ingredient in this one that I do believe can give people some problems if you are sensitive to it or if you are acne prone. Be wary of that. You may want to try it, keep your receipt just in case. But I really love this, and I'm actually surprised. I'm glad that I decided to be brave and try it again. If you want to see how I apply powder foundation, I have a link here for you. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. If you want one-on-one help from me, be sure and head down to the link below, and we can have a one-on-one consult if you want opinions or have questions for me. I hope this video was helpful for you. It's been a long time coming. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.